All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
A lady that have stepped up at a time when men cowered, at a time when men said we should go to Finland and have a jamboree and not redeclare Biafra. Now you see the importance of redeclaring Biafra to show Nigeria that when they thought going to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya was the end of Biafra, there rose the man called Simon Ekpa. And even though some of the enemies of Biafra, those within and without, they came to sabotage Simon Ekpa. We saw IPOB Nigeria Limited. The members of IPOB, those organizations that Nigeria has proscribed as a terrorist organization, they were working hand in hand with Nigeria. They collaborated with Nigeria. They partnered with Nigeria. They entered a contract with Nigeria. IPOB entered an agreement with Nigeria. IPOB members were tutored by Nigerian lawyers to go all the way to Finland to testify against Simon Ekpa. The most beloved disciple of Simon Ekpa, of Nnamdi Kanu, they said Simon Ekpa was not a member of IPOB. You all know this. I mean, it is something even the deaf and blind can see and even hear, that Simon Ekpa is the most beloved disciple of His Excellency Obatobie Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We all know this. But somehow, those within the confines of Biafra, those we assumed they are the kids and kings of Biafra, those we assumed they are working towards liberating the land of Biafra and implementing Biafra, those we thought were one of us, those we thought were the good guys from the other camp, IPOB Nigeria Limited, DOS, those that said they believe in command and control. They worked with Nigeria, collaborated with Nigeria at a time, at a period where Nigeria kidnapped our leader Nnamdi Kanu, where Nigeria proscribed IPOB, where Nigeria, listen to me, when Nigeria declared IPOB as a terrorist organization. Those declared as terrorists still worked with Nigeria to sabotage their own Mazi Simon Ekpa in Finland. So fellow Biafrans, today, it is clear. Now you know those who are for us and those who are against us. Now you know these things. Okay, Nkere, I was looking at the boy the other time and the so-called lobbyist team. I was observing the X page of the one they call the legal guy, what's his name again? Elias Garasolis. I was observing his Twitter page, what they call the X page now. On the 1st of September, when Simon Ekpa was declared as being guilty, there was nothing written by the so-called lobbyists we pay $10,000 to every month. On the 2nd of September, nothing was written about Simon Ekpa by Elias Garasolis. 3rd of September, he wrote nothing about Simon Ekpa. On the 4th of September, that was when he retweeted that the Eritrean government in exile, they have renewed their contract with Morgan, whatever he calls his organization, to keep them as lobbyists. So you know where his money, his mind was. His mouth was in his money. His mind was in the money he was making every month. He was not for Simon Ekpa. Go and check the X page of Elias Garasolis. You'll be shocked. This is how you trail. You do an audit trail to know the enemies of Simon Ekpa, the enemies of Biafra, those brought into the movement by the enemy in Nigeria to sabotage what we are doing. I saw the red flag when it said, oh, I was browsing the internet. I was on Google search, browsing the internet when I saw Biafra Republic government in exile. And I asked myself, oh, when did IPOB have a government in exile? And suddenly he inquired for the services. He inquired to render a service that was not advertised, a contract that was not tendered. I told you guys, in the Western world, people cannot just come to you and say, I want to offer a service. You must tender the contract, and different organizations will come and bid for that contract. So if it's a lobby contract, we tender it out there, say, hey, this contract, we need a lobbyist. Then different lobbying companies will now bid to win that contract. This is how it's done in the Western world. So when a man said that he was browsing the internet, he was going through the internet, browsing, and suddenly he saw Biafra Republic government in exile. And he contacted us. And guess what? Before you say Jack Robinson, the one who now responded back to him was Mazi Simon Ekpa. I just knew that was an inside job. I just knew that Simon Ekpa was lined up. I just knew that somebody was in the ears of Simon Ekpa telling him, oh, this email that came through, it came from a lobbyist. He's based in Washington, America. His name is Elias Garasolis. His boss is known as Jim Moran. The Moran Group, they call themselves. And somehow Simon Ekpa was cajoled to respond to that idiot. That was how the guy came into the movement. And today, we are seeing the outcome. Also, I want to appreciate our Deputy Prime Minister, what she said about the way things are done in Finland, that even with the judgment against our Prime Minister, there will be an appeal over the outcome. So allow Nigerians to be shouting, yes, we thank God. Simon Ekpa was given 6 years for terrorism charges. In which world will somebody who is convicted as a terrorist be given 6 years? Where is that done? It's either you are kept life in jail or you are killed as a terrorist. Simon Ekpa was never, found out to be a terrorist. No, he wasn't guilty of terrorism. But these guys, when you leave Nigeria, they will spin the news. Those who are scared to call the real terrorists, they call them bandits. They call them the headers of Farmers Clash. But when it comes to a Biafran man, when it comes to somebody living in diaspora, all the media houses, Rufai Oseni was quick to call Simon Ekpa a terrorist. Rufai Oseni, the one that you call your best journalist in that damnable republic called Nigeria. But you and I know that Simon Ekpa was never found to be guilty of terrorism. What they said, there was a qualification there. They said online activities. Online activities that are terror related. So they must come and prove. In the appeal, they must prove that online activities they claim are terrorism or whatever related. They must come and prove it. Finland must come and prove it, because we speak every day online. The other day I showed you a man of God, a priest preaching about his youths waking up, rising up to defend their land. When you hear that pastor preach the way he was preaching, you will assume he was speaking from the Gospel of Simon Ekpa, chapter 2, verse 1 to 16. Because everything he said were similar to what Simon Ekpa was saying. But today, that man of God is still free to move to and fro. He just flew back to Plateau State to his people, and nobody caught him. There was no court case against him being a terrorist. But Simon Ekpa, who spoke from Finland, the land of the free, a man spoke online. And today, Nigerian government, the Igbo politicians, Bianca Ono, the one they call Bianca Ojukwu, Uchechi Kano, the wife of Nnamdi Kano. I heard she was one of those that got those men involved to witness against Simon Ekpa. I heard. Ifeanyi Ejiofor was one of those who collaborated with those men that went to Finland. They said Simon Ekpa was not a member of IPOB. I heard the ones they call the DOS, Command and Control, were responsible. They worked with the Nigerian government, the Southeast governors, to work out the itineraries. Two things they did. When they first went for a so-called rally against Simon Ekpa in Finland, the DOS worked with the Nigerian government to work out the itineraries for the 7 to 8, 10 men that were sent to Finland. Their pocket was reimbursed with money, their flight, feeding, hotel in Finland, everything was done by the so-called Southeast governors to please the Jagaban and to please the government of Nigeria. And I also heard there was a collaborative effort between Ifeanyi Ejiofor, the wife of Nnamdi Kanu Uchechi, the DOS, and the corrupt IPOB Nigeria Limited. They all came together and got those three men to go to Finland to testify in the case between Nigeria, Simon Ekpa, and Finland. IPOB suddenly was working with Nigerian government. They were collaborating with Nigerian government. A government they claim they hate. A government they claim is sabotaging the Biafrans. A government they claim is marginalizing Biafrans. A government that proscribed Biafrans as terrorists. IPOB Nigeria was working with them. Let that make sense. Hello? Let that make sense. Hello? Today you see them, they are celebrating that, oh, we thank Finland, we thank Nigeria for jailing Simon Ekpa for 6 years. You hear them, the one they call Prince Darlington, Onsoji, the rest of them in the so-called IPOB and DOS movement. They are thanking Finland and Nigeria. They are praising, they hail Finland and Nigeria for the judgment, the conviction of Simon Ekpa. And they all know Simon Ekpa is the most beloved disciple of Nnamdi Kanu. They all know when Nnamdi Kanu was here with us, himself and Simon Ekpa, they were collaborating, doing events and hosting of programs between Biafra and Ambazonia. Nnamdi Kanu made sure Simon Ekpa was the one to anchor that program. Vividly well, I can still picture the dressings of Simon Ekpa, where he was wearing a golden blazers in the collaboration between Biafra and Ambazonia. He was the one that anchored that program for Nnamdi Kanu, his leader. We saw those things happen. We saw the discussions between Simon Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu. Those they call themselves the DOS. Those they call themselves IPOB Nigeria Limited. They saw those partnership, those collaboration between Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. None of them came out to say, Nnamdi Kanu, don't talk or don't work with Simon Ekpa. He's not a member of IPOB. That would have been baloney and nonsense. They know this. But today they came out in the public to say, no, Simon Ekpa is not a member of IPOB. At the time when our leader is not here, Nnamdi Kanu is not here with us, his so-called members, those that say they believe in command and control, they went to Finland to collaborate, to partner with Nigeria. Let that sink in your head. Anybody who partners with Nigeria is an enemy of Biafra. They went to partner with Nigeria to convict their own. They collaborated with Nigeria, Nigerian government, Nigerian state to convict their own. And when they heard the outcome in Finland, they were jubilating that the most beloved disciple of Nnamdi Kanu will languish in jail for 6 years. Fellow Biafrans, let this make sense. Now you understand the problem we have, the complex nature of what we are dealing with. I made a video where I said not all skin folks are kin folks. Not all skin folks are kin folks. It means not all those who look like you are part of the family. Not all those who speak your language have your interest at heart. Don't make the mistake, because some of them, they are very fluent in speaking the dialect or one of the languages of the land called Biafra. And you assume that, because they speak the Igbo language, they speak Ishekiri, they speak, Ijaw, and you assume they are one family, one hair of the family of Biafra. That's the mistake we make. These guys, they are paid agents. Most of them, they're in the Western world, they are struggling and they want that money, that dollars. They want the money, they are being lured by the money from Nigeria, and before you know it, they are very quick to sabotage our own. So, fellow Biafrans, you've heard again from our Deputy Prime Minister today, where she said the case of Simon Ekpa will be appealed. And during the appeal, if it goes through, Simon Ekpa will be a freedman to join us. But if in the case, if this same outcome is being upheld, the 6 years you're talking about will be 3 years in reality. And we know our leader, Simon Ekpa, has been held for about 10 months now. So when you less 10 months from 3 years, you are left with 2 years and 2 months. And also, for those who are thinking, Simon Ekpa is in jail, hello, I've got news for you. The so-called jails that you phantom in your brain, your kirikiri, your alagbon in that zoo called Nigeria, it is different from what they have here in the Western world. The other day, I gave you a story that when I first came to the Western world, when we go partying in the night, when we are drunk, me and my friends that I met in the Western world, we go to a police station and we tell them, hey, we want to sleep here for the night. We want to sleep in the police station for the night. And to call a spade, those were one of the best sleeps I ever had in my life. When I left that zoo called Nigeria and went to the Western world, we'll go to a station and tell them, hello, please, it's too late for us. We don't have any money to travel back home. And we, want to sleep here for the night. And the police officers, they will look at us, they will laugh. They will open up a police cell. And we go in there to sleep for the night. So the police station or the police cell or the prisons, they are technically like a four-star hotel compared to what you have in that zoo called Nigeria. Don't assume that they will be in jail in Finland or anywhere in Europe and America, and there will be mosquito biting them. You shit in the same place, you pee in the same place, no place to sleep. 49 standing throughout the whole night, 99 squatting throughout the whole night in a 4x4 cage, a dirty place where urine smells everywhere, croc, washako catch you. And no, that is in your zoo. That is in your shithole. That is the thing you have in your mind, because that's how Nigeria has projected the prison lifestyle to you guys. In the Western world, prison is different. People, conduct themselves, their businesses in prison. They go through and fro in prison. They have the best of life in prison. They have their internet in prison. Something you guys don't even have. You can't even buy data in that zoo called Nigeria. So go ahead and celebrate with your enemies. Go ahead and celebrate with those who have come to Islamize you. Today as we speak, Middle Belt is going. Yoruba land is going. Biafra land, the only land trying to hold on. But with the saboteurs, some elements, some parts, some boundaries, some territories of Biafra, I'll say it's one leg in and one leg out. Because the stupid enemies we have in our communities, in our states, in our region, they are not smart enough. They are looking at the greenbacks. They are looking at the dollars they are making from Nigeria. Some of them during the war, perhaps their wives or their mothers were raped by the Islamic soldiers that came to sabotage Biafra land. Perhaps it's in their DNA, because when something is in your DNA, you start to act, behave, adapt or adopt the lifestyle of that thing that is within your DNA. Knowingly or unknowingly, you start to behave like the caliphate, because the blood, the gene of the cabal is in your body. These things happen. I remember my friend, I used to go to his house as a kid. That's my so-called best friend that we had those issues with. And when I'm with him in the house, we are watching a movie. We were kids then. The father will be in the other room, and I will hear the father yawn in a very loud voice. And me, I'll be laughing like, oh, your father is yawning. The guy will be angry. Sometimes we might be 5 playing a video game in his house, and the father will yawn in a very, very deep voice from his room, like a tired man who just woke up yawning. The guy will be angry. Sometimes the guy will be angry and rush to the room and say, Daddy, shut up. Keep quiet, because the guy came straight from, from the Western world. The guy will be angry. But 10 years after, or 15 years after, in the Western world, when I'm speaking to him via the phone back then, in less than 10 minutes, that guy will yawn 5 times. He will yawn and yawn and yawn. And I told him, say, bro, this yawning don't catch you. The guy go laugh, say, what do I mean? I said, this yawning thing don't catch you. The guy go laugh, say, what do you mean now? We're very, very fond of ourselves. And then I remember him, do you remember when we were small playing video game in your father's house? Your father will yawn from the room and you'll be angry. You'll rush down to the room and tell your dad to shut up, to keep quiet. And I used to be scared, because when he used those kind of words, I cannot speak to my parents that way, but he would say, Daddy, shut up. And that would tell him, come on, get out here, go and play with your mates. And the guy said, yes, he remembers. I said, well, it is called, I've forgotten the word, a transfer of like, the traits. So your father used to yawn and you were not angry, you were angry with it. But today, you are the one yawning like your dad now. And when I told you about it, when I reminded you, you were laughing. So this thing called DNA is real. The traits, the behaviors of an offspring, in most cases, it will tailor and follow that person. And to today, you see the way the enemies in Biafra land they are behaving, and you're asking yourself, how can this governor be bowing down to the caliphate? How come this politician be doing this to the caliphate? How can they betray their own? How can they love that the terrorists, they are coming to throw bombs in Biafra land? How can they sabotage their own? How can they proscribe their own? Dave Umahi and the rest of them, how could they come together to proscribe 80 million Biafrans? How are they skipping to the loo of the enemy? Now you understand why. Because whether you like it or not, the DNA, the Fulani blood is in those we call the politicians. Not all of them in Biafra land. Because sometimes I ask myself, can they see the good thing that Simon Ekpa was doing? Can they see the amazing job Nnamdi Kanu was doing? A man who told us they are coming, they are coming, they are coming, and today they have come. Yet, the enemies from within, they are angry with Nnamdi Kanu for exposing the danger ahead. It doesn't make sense. They saw Nnamdi Kanu walk with Simon Ekpa. They saw him tutor Simon Ekpa. They saw him collaborate with Simon Ekpa. They saw him pronounce in the public, you must listen to Simon Ekpa. You must listen to Simon Ekpa. I repeat, you must listen to Simon Ekpa and share his videos, because Simon is coming with a new dimension. That was a gospel in the Bible of Nnamdi Kanu. You must, M-U-S-T, and order. You must listen to Simon Ekpa and share his videos, because Simon is coming with a new dimension. Those were the words of Nnamdi Kanu, but till this day, those that say they believe in Nnamdi Kanu, those that believe in command and control, IPOB, DOS, They got more angry when they heard the gospel of Nnamdi Kanu that they went to sabotage the one. They went to silence the voice of the one Nnamdi Kanu said we should listen to. Let that sink in. They went to silence the voice of Simon Ekpa, the one that Nnamdi Kanu asked us, ordered us, instructed us to listen to and share his videos, because Simon was coming with a new dimension. The IPOB DOS, those that say they believe in command and control, those that said they were with Nnamdi Kanu way back since 2012, those that said they were in this movement, they were the first in the movement, those that said they believe in Uwazuruke, and from Uwazuruke they joined Nnamdi Kanu, they were the ones that collaborated with the Nigerian government, with the Nigerian governors from the southeast, with the politicians, the senators from the southeast, with Bianca Ojukwu, with the wife of Nnamdi Kanu, Uchechi Chukwu. They all came together. They collaborated against Simon Ekpa to silence the voice of Simon Ekpa. And today they are jubilating. Today they assume that yes, we have done it. Simon will rot in jail. They tagged him a terrorist. And I ask myself, in which planet will a terrorist be jailed for 6 years? Does that make sense? Those that claim they're the most educated, does that make sense? Rufai, you're saying you call Simon Ekpa a terrorist, and you know deep inside there is no place in this world that the terrorist will be jailed for 6 years. Yet, you guys that claim you're very, very smart, you guys that claim you're educated, you use the word terrorism to describe Simon Ekpa. You see, with Rufai, I have a love and hate relationship with him. A love and hate. Yin and yang. One day he's speaking things I appreciate. The next day he's speaking in a way and I wonder, why is this man speaking this way? Can't you do a simple research? The game was there. Finland wanted to get this man by all means. Finland had to get Simon Ekpa for Nigeria. That was why they came with different charges. They say, oh, one, he did not declare his taxation. What does Nigerian tax have to do with Finnish tax? He showed you that that case, that charge has nothing to do with Nigeria when it came to taxation. It's a way to rope him down, to give a dog a bad name, to hang it. It's a way to make sure one of the charges will fit and will hold him down. And that's what they did. So yes, we know Nigeria came with this and that, but we know deep inside, Finland had to find a way to make sure Simon Ekpa is convicted. That was why they said, oh, in 2021, you were doing some YouTube. You made some money from Google, you made some money from Twitter. And Simon told them, Les, with all due respect, this money you are saying coming through is coming from Google AdSense, from Google in USA. It goes to where? To Ireland. From Ireland, it's now being disbursed around the whole countries in Europe. And before you know it, that's how the money got into my account. I have spoken to the Skatverket, this tax office in Finland. I have told them that, okay, if you are saying that from 2021, this money was not redeclared, this amount of money was not redeclared, I am in current discussion with them. I am currently having a conversation with the tax office in Finland to come up with a plan where I can be paying instrumentally every month a substantial amount of the money until I clear off whatever you say I am owing. I never knew that I would make such money. So when I was declaring on autopilot, automatically I already projected how much I make every month. So, or every year. So it was, concurrently going out of my account. It was occurring every year. So I assume that I have already put in place those extra factors, those revenues coming from Google, coming from YouTube, coming from Instagram, that was what happened. A simple stuff. And they found him guilty. They said, no. For the fact that you did not redeclare, yes, we know there's an ongoing conversation, but this has been going on since way back, since 2021. So they knew what they were doing. 2021 was vital. That was the year Nnamdi Kanu was jailed or kidnapped from Kenya and brought to Nigeria through an extraordinary rendition. The year 2021 is vital. They knew what they were doing. They were collaborating with Nigeria. It means their plan was to silence Nnamdi Kanu, and they assumed that once they silence Nnamdi Kanu, the rest of the Biafrans will go back to sleep and say we believe in Nigeria. They never saw this young boy, that small thing they call that boy in Finland. They never saw the rise of Simon Ekpa. Hence, they went to Finland, did what they did. And now Finland, I call them a GJC, a Johnny just come, a Johnny come lately. They assume that's well that, since Simon Ekpa is in Finland, two things we shall do. It's going to be a win-win affair. We get a contract from Nigeria and sabotage Simon Ekpa, and we'll also put him in jail, and that way Biafra will die a natural death. But we thank God that with the wisdom of our mother, the mother of Biafra, a woman we love, the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Rabazi, was able to redeclare Biafra on the 29th of November 2024. To God be the glory, to God be the glory, to God be the glory. Those that said we should not redeclare, we should wait for Simon Ekpa to return. Make we no redeclare. Make we wait until Simon Ekpa comes back to redeclare. Now you know why they were saying it, because they knew the intention, they knew their plans they had with Finland and Nigeria. If we didn't redeclare Biafra, it means we would have to wait for 3 years. You see the game they play? So thank God. Now, technically, Simon Ekpa has zero influence on what is happening in Biafra. They assume that once they hold Simon Ekpa, it means we are all gone. The vision, the mission for Biafra, the project called Biafra is dead. That was their hope. But Nigeria is very stubborn. Finland told them, come on, this thing you're saying, the country has already been redeclared. People came all around the whole world to redeclare. They said, no, but I trust you. Promise me. I can tell you this. Nigerian people, the Igbos in Nigeria, once you hold the leader, everybody will run away. So we believe if we can hold Nnamdi Kanu, everybody will run away. We believe if you can arrest Simon Ekpa, everybody around him will run away. That's the intention or the assumption of those old, dirty, stinking, greedy bastards you call your politicians in so-called Nigeria. They apply the old school of thought. Old school. They believe in the old ways. The gather must go away. That anything that cannot be bought with money, more money will buy it. That's the assumption of those dirty, stinking, evil men. Men that should be in their graveyard. Men that should be in their care home. They've stolen enough money, wealth, and upon wealth, but the greed in them makes them to stay in office until they die in office. They assumed with the old school of thought, say, okay, hold Simon Ekpa somewhere. I promise you, everybody will run away. They will not go for the convention. They will be scared. They will run away. Lord have mercy. And they did that. 2 weeks to the convention, Finland called Simon Ekpa, kept him somewhere. With the assumption that, okay, let us see what Nigeria is saying. If the members of Biafra will not come to Finland to redeclare Biafra, but we cannot stop them. That's their right to associate, to assemble. They have the right. We can't stop them. Say, yes, we know you can't stop them, but we believe, in Nigeria, people are very scared of the police. If they hear someone has a case, they will run away. They will abandon him. So please, just hold him somewhere. 2 weeks to the convention. We promise you, if you hold him somewhere, Nigerians and those that call themselves Biafrans, they will run away. They will not come to Finland. They will run away.